Welcome to the flight of essay writing. On board are the secrets of writing, the tools, the language needed, and the creativity. You cannot access all this unless you board the flight. Come and let us join hands to lighten the work of writing. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. The captain is none other than Mr. Wesonga. Mr. Wesonga is a simple person, though a seasoned and renowned teacher of English in this particular country. The flight of essay writing is a unique and I suppose the first DVD in the market. It captures a lot that has remained elusive to many writers of the time. No wonder it is a must watch and listen to by anyone hoping to write better. Welcome on board. The noun composition originates from the verb compose. When you compose, you create, and this is out of imagination. I must admit that composition writing is not a walk in the park. It needs concerted effort from both the teacher and the pupil in equal measure in order to achieve a meaningful result. To my fellow teachers, teach and guide pupils on how to write. Assume that the child knows nothing about writing. You are the one in control. Your effort, therefore, plays a key role in the development of this child's writing skills. And to the pupils, listen and follow the laid down guidelines, and you will see yourself grow into a writing person. Composition writing is an art. You do not gamble with it. It has its own ways, its techniques, and the style. My question would be, then, where do you begin from when you want to write a composition? Simple. A good writer must be an avid reader. Through reading, you expose yourself to a variety of creativity, sentence structures, and vocabulary. So, my message would be very simple. Read widely. Pupils must learn how to construct grammatically correct sentences. No passive voice is required. No long sentences. That does not mean you have to construct staccatos. For instance, the pupils were punished by the teacher. That is a sentence in the passive voice. Why not write the teacher punished the pupils? That is better. Develop these sentences into sensible paragraphs. They must follow each other in order to create flow and sequencing. A story that does not flow does not make sense either. Create characters in your story. More emphasis should be on the first person. Why? The marker will internalize and imagine it is happening to him or her. Unless the examiner gives you a third person, it is advisable to stick to either I or we. Do not introduce so many characters. It is an avenue for confusion. When writing, ensure that there is a story. That is what the marker will be keenly looking for. If there isn't one, then you can be rest assured you will earn less marks. A story is created from the keywords given. As a pupil, learn to identify those keywords. For example, when I arrived home that evening, ellipses. From that sentence, you realize three aspects. Aspect number one, the main character in the story, I. The setting of the story, a home environment. The time of the story, it is in the evening. And lastly, this is an open story. It may be a sad or a happy event. Other than time, setting, and characters, we also learn the mood of a given story from the same keywords. And we have mentioned that it can be a happy or a sad mood. After identifying those aspects, think of a story that can take place in such a scenario and tell it. Note, teachers at this point come in handy. Discuss with the boys and girls the stories as you highlight them on the chalkboard. Cross out what is not relevant and to the level of the child. Remember, the stories must be child-centered and revolving around nothing but the child. Then, after analyzing everything, allow them to write. Teachers of language must deny themselves the freedom of rest and mark the compositions. It beats logic to give scripts and you do not mark. Mark every sentence. Correct the wrong spelling, the wrong tense, the wrong idiom. Write for the child what is correct. Go back to class and emphasize the mistakes you encountered. A child listens and learns. That is what I believe. A repeat of the same calls for punishment. With the time, they will pick and write to your expectations. Once the pupils learn how to tell a story, develop the strength of their stories. All of us can tell a story, but how you tell your story brings out your ability to write outstandingly. One aspect of a good composition is good handwriting. Handwriting plays a key role. Learn how to shape letters well. Work on the size of those letters, the spacing and neatness. No letter should touch the other. In fact, we joke by saying, touch me not. With punctuation, dot both small I and J. All the punctuation marks as well as the letters should rest on the lower line. No hanging letters whatsoever. From the margin, leave 2 centimeters in order to create a paragraph. Maintain that uniformity. From one word to another, leave 1 centimeter. Use the tip of your finger, the index finger, to measure the distance for uniformity. There have been cases of boys and girls who think that they can play tricks with composition by overspacing their words. There is a price to pay. Do not hyphenate words unless the word is compound in nature. It may be a compound noun, it may be a compound adjective. Examples: passer hyphen by, father hyphen in hyphen law. Those are examples of compound nouns. 13 hyphen year hyphen old. 10 hyphen hour party. Examples of compound adjectives. Otherwise, towards the end, along the margin, avoid using a hyphen. Neither should you create a notion that none of your words can fit there, so there must be what? A space. You will be penalized for that. Paragraphs should have dependent ideas, though those particular ideas must be connected. The opening sentence has to be catchy, eye-catching to be precise. It arouses the need to read on and find out what actually transpired. It should be a step on which you put your foot only to find out that there is more ahead. For example, there was a loud knock on the door. I leaped to my feet to answer the door. In this case, you have simply told us that there is more, though unconsciously. Another example: it was time to tell the truth. A deathly hush descended over us. You see, here you have created jitters, a state of anxiety and nervousness in equal measure. And anyone reading that opening sentence can simply tell there is more in the offing. Good paragraphs are blended. Long 8 to 12 sentences and the short ones 5 to 6 lines. But remember, for direct speech, each speaker is given a paragraph on his own, regardless of the number of words the person is going to say. A change of situation, a change of time also call for a new paragraph. Aspect number 2, creativity. We may have the same story but told differently in terms of creativity. Take for instance a guest speaker in school. 1. You can pick on drugs, how to prepare for examination, stigmatization of HIV victims, among other things. Generally, many will major on what is common: drugs. Examples: what a drug is, what is commonly abused. But a unique child will look at it from a different perspective. Assume the guest speaker is an alumni of the same school who did drugs himself. By the time he highlights the effects, what he went through, of course, by showing you the scars the drugs left on him, all the listeners will be charged. And anyone doing drugs will leave the venue a changed person. Number 2, creativity can take a different route as well. Learn to draw a picture, a scene of what you're talking about. Describe your characters, situations, and places. Anyone marking your script should view it as real rather than a piece of writing. I took my eyes on a tour of him, right from his unkempt hair to the beetroot eyes, to the nicotine-stained fingers and black suit teeth that spoke volumes of his long-term enslavement to smoking. He was a pitiable sight that I had never clapped my eyes on. Through the above description, we are able to see the character in question. It seems so real, but not like a composition. 3. Develop your language. As a candidate, it is prudent to learn how to get and use idioms. Teachers, please teach the children the right idioms, how to construct sentences using those idioms, and let them learn. More often than not, we hear teachers telling pupils use idioms, yet they do not guide them on how to acquire the same idioms. To add insult to injury, we change the wording. Idioms, I believe, do not change. Examples: to add insult to injury, or to rub salt into the wound, means to make a situation worse. Let the boys and girls not write to add salt to injury. Many of them write add salt to injury. This is wrong. Another common mistake: in the spur of a moment instead of on the spur of the moment. That means without planning in advance. A sentence: I phoned him up on the spur of the moment. In a shake of a lamb's tail is a wrong idiom. Say, in a couple of shakes, or in 2 shakes, to mean very soon. There was a knock on the door is grammatically correct. We can as well say a knock at the door, but when it comes to the word bang, we simply use the preposition on, but not at. We have other cliches like a chameleon on a fig tree. Avoid. I went to the frog's kingdom. Avoid. As long as diamonds remain priceless. Avoid. And many other cliches that are used by boys and girls. Teach them how to use the right idioms. Aspect number 4, the title. There has been a lot of talk surrounding title or no title. I believe any work of art deserves a title. This title should be relevant to the story. It has to be in capital letters and well underlined. Do not punctuate unless it is an exclamatory or interrogative sentence. Otherwise, the use of a full stop is wrong. Furthermore, titles need to be catchy and should not be more than 6 words, unless you're writing minutes or a proverb. Know where the title should come, right above the beginning of your story. Do not just patch a title because it sounds good. No, not at all. The title must be directly related. I mean, relevant to the story. Finally, always conclude your story in a good way. If you created conflict, resolve it. We had been waiting for the bride for 2 hours. Suddenly, a man showed up and said, I have an important announcement to make. The conflict here is a missing bride. Your story will not be complete without you finding the bride dead or alive. Let the reader of your story draw a lesson from it. A writer runs away from home because of mistreatment from step-parents, forced and early marriage, female genital mutilation, hoping for better prospects, only to find out he was simply jumping from the pan into the fire. We should not run away, but seek better ways of solving whatever problems that surround our lives. That becomes our lesson. Having looked at the features of a good story, let us now focus on the various types of compositions. 1. Formatted compositions. 1. Minute writing. 2. A speech. 3. Topical compositions. 4. Letter writing. 5. A dialogue. 6. Dreams. 7. Discursive compositions. 2. Non-formatted compositions, otherwise known as freestyle compositions. Narratives. Formatted type number 1. Minute writing. Minutes are a record of what was said at a meeting. Minutes have their own format that pupils must understand. Anyone writing minutes must be keen in order to follow everything that is said. Format. It comprises 5 parts, namely the title, attendance, agenda, the minutes themselves, and of course the conclusion. Title. The title comprises the conveners, the owners and organizers of the meeting, the venue, where it is taking place, the date, and the time. For example, the minutes of the 4K Club meeting held in St. Paul's Wesonga School, room 4SK on 13th January 2014 at 4 p.m. Attendance. This is composed of those present, the apologies, and those absent. Sometimes there can be a visitor. This falls under in attendance. Always mind the rank when writing attendance. Present. Here you create names, and the names created must be reasonable enough. For instance, Cosmos Muteti, chairperson; Maureen Anyango, secretary; John Munyao, treasurer; Paul Kiseli, member; Ruth Wesonga, member; Virginia Juma, member; Peter Kamau, member. Apologies, sometimes written as absent with apology. Note, you cannot write both, so make a choice. Phoebe Odoyo, member; Wycliffe Omolo, member. Absent, otherwise written as absent without apology. Remember, you can't write the two at the same time. Margaret Ngede, member. Note that even the numbers are written within the margin, not outside that particular line. Pupils are also advised to write reasonable names. Number 3 is the agenda. These are the items to be discussed at the meeting. Here we just list them, beginning with preliminaries, confirmation of the previous minutes, matters arising. Agenda number 4, 5, and 6 should be your own minutes as a writer. An examiner can guide you, as we shall see later. Number 7, any other business. No short forms. Simply write any other business. Number 4, the minutes. These are the fully discussed and adopted points. A certain pattern is used. Example, minutes, full stop, 01, stroke, 01, stroke, 2014, colon. Note that there is a full stop after minute and a colon after the year. The first 3 minutes are compulsory, and so is the last one. The middle ones come from the writer himself or herself. When writing the minutes themselves now, minute, full stop, 01, stroke, 01, stroke, 2014, colon, preliminaries, underline. Here, you simply call the meeting to order and ask a member to pray. Do not call upon a member who has sent an apology or is absent. The member to pray must be among those present. Minute 2, confirmation of the previous minutes. The secretary reads and confirms the minutes of the previous meeting. He or she must be seconded by a member as the true readings. Note, sometimes the examiner can say it is the first meeting. In this case, there are no minutes to be read and confirmed. Therefore, you simply say, this being our first meeting, there were no minutes to be read and confirmed, so the discussion of the next item on the agenda began. Minute 3, matters arising. It is advisable to avoid this part because by touching it, you may be opening a Pandora's box. And how do you go about it? Simply say, there were no matters arising from the previous meeting. We continued with the next item on the agenda. If it happens to be the first meeting, you say, this being our first meeting, there were no matters arising, so the meeting went on. And after that comes minute 4, minute 5, minute 6. All the above come from the writer. An examiner may give you a hint. For example, you're a member of the Coffee Farmers Association in your area. Write the minutes of the meeting held to discuss ways of improving yields, diseases affecting coffee, and the marketing of coffee. You see, in this case, you already have 3 items: yields, diseases, and market. We only write resolutions. I mean, what was agreed upon. Avoid name mentioning. Simply write, it was agreed, the members resolved, the members unanimously agreed, we agreed, and so on. Minute 7, any other business. Here, you are free to raise an issue, but do not discuss it. It may not be part of the day's agenda. Normally, it is subject to discussion at the next meeting. 2. You may as well fail to bring up something and just close the meeting by saying, there being no other business to discuss, the meeting was closed down by a word of prayer from, say, Judith Wameo, and you mention the time. Of course, the next meeting will be held on this same venue, same time. Part number 5, conclusion. It comprises the names and signatures of the chairperson and the secretary, but do not sign. This will be done at the next meeting after the confirmation. Minutes taken by secretary, date, and the sign. On the right hand side, minutes confirmed by chairperson, date, and the sign. All on the same line. The second type of composition, speech writing. A speech is a formal presentation to an audience, a live audience. The speaker talks to a live audience, so his delivery must be lively and involving the audience. Otherwise, you may end up failing to communicate your message. It is important to identify the speaker and the audience in order to know the type of message to avoid passing the wrong information to the right people. Examples of speeches include a head teacher talking to their pupils, a chief addressing the subjects, a cabinet secretary visiting a school, a president addressing the nation, a student leader talking to the others. When writing a speech, open with opening inverted commas. Recognize those present minding their positions in society. Begin with the highest in rank to the lowest. For example, the deputy head teacher, teachers, parents, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Here, definitely the speaker is the head teacher. If it was somebody else, then you will begin with the head teacher. Cases, especially among pupils from private schools, writing the CEO, director are rampant. This should be discouraged completely. Reason being, the curriculum ranks the head as the highest in a school setting. There are other ways of beginning a speech. Speech marks, fellow Kenyans and lovers of peace. I would like to highlight a few things that my government has so far done and achieved in the period ending August 2014. A president addressing the nation. You can as well begin with a saying from a prominent leader, Martin King Luther, Barack Obama, to mention just but a few. Speech marks, cleanliness is indeed next to godliness. Therefore, this neatness appeal is a duty but not a sin. A duty to be embraced by all and sundry. And you continue. In acceptance speeches, where one has been given an award or such ceremonies, you develop your speech around gratitude. Thank all those who contributed towards your achievement. Acknowledge the fact that other competitors in the same category gave you a run for your money. Now that you won something you did not expect, appreciate their contribution as well. Promise to uphold the virtues of the award you have won, that you will keep the flag flying. The body of any speech comprises the main points. Avoid being so formal. 1, 2, first, secondly, thirdly. No, use better connectors instead. Each point should have its own paragraph and well expounded. Example, a head teacher when presenting a farewell speech, he may want to express his gratitude to the pupils for the great things they have done for the school during their stay, winning in various contests, essay writing, drama and music, ball games, athletics, and others, that the cabinet is full of trophies courtesy of them. Thank them for their perseverance, the long learning hours, the biting morning cold, the mountain of homework, not to mention the severe punishment. Appreciate the teachers, the support staff, the parents, and any other person who made their learning a success. Towards the end, advise the pupils on the world out there. HIV/AIDS, drug abuse, friendship, among other issues that affect the youth. In presenting these points, one can as well use repetition of words or phrases. This catches the audience attention and lays emphasis on the message. For instance, I know you are asking today how long it will take. I have an answer this morning. However difficult times are, however frustrating life is, it will not be long, because an idea whose time has come will rise even when pressed on the ground. How long? Not so long, because no lie can live forever. How long? Not so long, because you reap what you sow. How long? Not so long, because the arm of moral universe bends towards justice. When concluding a speech, mention the main points and always remember to thank your audience for listening to you. Then you close with the closing inverted commas, of course, after seeking God's blessings for your audience. Note, it is important to understand that practically the audience is involved. In writing, however, no interruptions are allowed, not even the clapping. Begin your speech, present your points, and conclude. Period. Cases of a speaker breaking down and continuing later should not arise. In some cases, one is told, after I had finished, there was a round of applause. In this case, the writer has already presented the speech. So, write your speech as above guided, then include the examiner's words outside the closing inverted commas. At times, you are narrating a story and you happen to quote part of a speaker's speech. This is allowed, given that the words had an impact, are a source of inspiration to you. You do not quote from the start, not at all. Just capture that part with the impact. Type number 3, topical compositions. These ones are written based on topics. You state facts and explain. They include the importance of water. Define what water and where water is found. Give the uses of water. Examples: sports, swimming, skating, canoeing. Industrial use: cleaning machines, mixing chemicals. Domestic use: cooking, drinking, cleaning the home, washing the body, the clothes, and other things. Irrigation: the artificial application of water, an assurance that we shall have enough food. Home for aquatic animals, the likes of fish, and of course their main importance of supplying proteins to us, quenching thirst as well as fire. Transport: we have water vessels like ships, boats, yachts, and canoes. The growth of plants and animals, generating hydroelectric power. The second example, the importance of trees. Define the term tree, then give their uses. For example, provision of food, fruits. Talk of an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Controlling soil erosion. Mention how the leaves, the roots prevent soil erosion. Sheltering, especially on sunny days. Purification of air, the breathing out of oxygen and the taking in of our carbon dioxide. Home for wildlife and birds that attract tourists. Mention trees in relation to religious purposes. Shrines. Rain. Explain how transpiration, evaporation, and condensation takes place. Manufacturing of paper. Of course, without books, we would not be talking of education. Beauty. Flowers and trees and their green color make the environment very, very beautiful. We have timber for building and construction of furniture. Fuel, firewood, and charcoal. Do not fail to mention the dead matter, decaying leaves that add to the fertility of the soil. The third example is the life history of a person, either as written by him, an autobiography, or as written by somebody else, and therefore called a biography. Here, you focus on the background of the person in question. When the person was born, where he went to school, the primary, secondary, and if acquired any university education. What did he achieve in life? Of course, all this happened dotted with problems. Highlight the ups and downs. Number 4, the menace of drug abuse. What are the causes of drug abuse? Freedom and exposure, peer pressure, lack of parental guidance, hopelessness in life. What is likely to happen as a result of this? You can run insane. They may cause death. You can contract HIV. The rate of crime going up. The wastage of income on treatment. Not to mention the stress among the family members. You can as well get addicted. The future generation is endangered. No manpower, no development in this particular country. Example number 5, Causes of road accidents. Explain what an accident is and where accidents do take place, especially on our roads. Carelessness and roadworthy vehicles, corruption, poor roads, driving under the influence of a substance should be mentioned as among the causes of road accidents on our roads. A little care from all the stakeholders, the police, the passengers, should be advised not to board overloaded vehicles. The drivers and the vehicle owners can go a long way in reducing road carnage. Formatted composition type number 4. Letter writing. Letters are used to communicate. They are of two types: the formal, otherwise known as official, and the friendly or unofficial. We shall begin with the official letters. In most cases, formal letters are written to seek jobs. Some, however, may be written to seek for forgiveness. In either case, the following features must be part of an official letter. Feature number 1, the writer's address. It has your name, the post office box, the date, and cell phone if you have one. This address is better written block at the top right hand corner. Remember to punctuate as well. We have an example: Paul Wesonga, Koyonzo Farm, P.O. Box 5, Koyonzo, 15th July 2014. The cell 0735 831774. Feature number 2, the recipient's address. It has the rank, the company or institution, and the post office box. No date. Do not skip a line when writing this. Just write this address below the writer's address. Example: to the principal, Milimani School, P.O. Box 5401-00100, Nairobi, full stop. Feature number 3, the salutations. Dear Sir / Madam. Capital S in Sir, capital M in Madam, then a comma. The dear is close to the margin. Do not leave any space. You only become specific, writing Dear Sir or Dear Madam alone if you know the person you're writing to, for the case of an apology. Feature number 4, the topic. It is a short and clear description of the content of the letter. Leave space from the margin, probably after Sir but before Madam. It is written as Ref full stop or Re colon in capital letters and underlined. Example: Re colon request for a vacancy in Form 1, or Ref full stop application for a teaching post. Ensure you add no full stop at the end. It is not a complete sentence. Feature number 5, the body. It should contain very few words to express your points. In job seeking, your age, marital status, citizenship, educational and working experience must appear. Convince the big wheel that if given a chance, you will work diligently with little or no supervision. Do not mention anything to do with the salary. If it is an apology, state the reasons for failure of doing something. For instance, you did not open school with the others. Cite reasons like you are admitted in hospital, but you promise to work hand in hand with the teachers to copy notes and catch up with the others. For the lost library books, say somebody broke into your locker while you are away, sent away for school fees, but you promise to replace the book and be more careful next time. The last feature of an official letter is the conclusion. Phrases like "I look forward to hearing from you soon," "thanking you in advance," "thanking you in anticipation," "I hope this information will surface" are always used. Then you write "yours faithfully," a comma, your signature, and your name. The second type of letter, a friendly letter. This is very simple to write. Ensure there is an address for the writer at the top right hand corner. Do not write the name of the person writing. Just write the school or the place, the post office box, the date, and the cell phone number if you have one. Example, Kamukunyu Farm, P.O. Box 2001, Nyeri, 20th May 2014. Cell 0722 245 694. Feature number 2, salutations, which also determine the conclusion. If you begin your letter with "Dear Father," then end with "yours lovingly." "Dear Uncle, yours affectionately." "Dear John, yours sincerely," or "yours cordially." "Dear Dad, dear Mom, your loving son, your loving daughter." "My dear sister," or "my dear brother," with love, or "yours loving." The salutation comes from the margin. Punctuate using a comma. When writing, use polite language right from the greetings. "I was glad to hear that." A second example, "I'm very sorry to know or learn that." The extremely sad news of your letter has given me the surprise of the year. One does not receive such pleasant news every day. Greetings. I must admit, I did not see it coming. I could not believe my luck when I received your letter. I have some wonderful news for you. Thank you very much for the present. Such phrases can be used to begin a letter. The body of a friendly letter is simply a narration of a recent occurrence either at school or at home, depending on the examiner's question. For example, you're writing a letter to a friend who transferred from your school. Definitely, the narration revolves around a school event. It may be a prize-giving day, a football match, a storm, an impromptu search that brought on board sensational revelations, among other things. At least, as you conclude, pass your regards to the recipient's family members. invite him over during the holidays, and encourage him to work hard at his studies. Offer encouraging words in case of a sad happening like death. Formatted type 5. Dialogue writing. A dialogue is a conversation, a talk between two or more people. In dialogue writing, the present tense is used because the person you're conversing with is there with you. A certain format is also followed. 1. Directive words, usually written in brackets, indicating where the scene is, the mood, the reaction are used. Example, brackets, sitting on a bench outside the doctor's office, end of bracket. Feature number 2. The people conversing are indicated in capital letters, followed by a colon. This should be within, not outside the margin. Doctor, colon. You say whatever the doctor said. Patient, colon. You also answer. Just like the other compositions, a solution to the conflict created must be reached. Examples of dialogues include a dialogue between a doctor and a patient, a teacher and a pupil, a parent and a son or a daughter, a policeman and a motorist, a shopkeeper and a customer. There are so many topics to be discussed. A parent can discuss the dangers of drinking with his son, cases of speeding on our roads, a traffic policeman and a matatu driver. Dreams. A dream, plural dreams, are ideas that form in your mind while you are dead to the world. No one knows when he or she begins to dream. So, it is advisable to avoid creating an impression that you're going to dream. I was tired, I went to bed, found myself in slumberland and started dreaming. Such notions hold no water in the world of dreams. The way you end your dream speaks volumes about itself. It clearly brings out the idea that it was surely a dream. I have decided to tackle a dream on its own, not under narratives, because many boys and girls make that mistake of turning a narrative into a dream. Unless the examiner tells you so, don't. I repeat, don't turn a narrative into a dream. How then will you know that it is a dream? This is a good question. Look at the ending provided. Example, I woke up to find myself in my room. That in itself explains that the story you expected to tell is a dream. The second example, when the monster opened its mouth to swallow me, I felt a hand touching me. This is definitely the hand of either your father or mother or sibling waking you up. It is therefore a dream. Dreams are of two types. We have happy dreams that make the writer happy, a good, fascinating, interesting thing happening in your life. A pupil pronounced the winner in a competition, the best in a national examination, a life-changing event, better life ahead. All those are happy dreams. Horrible ones, otherwise known as nightmares, scare the writer. They may even make the writer cry, scream, only for other people, especially the parents or any other adult in the house, to come and realize it was just a nightmare. An encounter with a wild animal, a witch, or any depraved person, a skull, among others, complete the least. Debate compositions. I have also called them discursive compositions. A debate can be on any topic. A day school is better than a boarding school. For example, the debate pits two people, groups or sides who try to outshine each other. In a school scenario, a motion has the speaker, the proposers, opposers, sergeant at arms, timekeeper, the motion mover, the critic, the secretaries for both sides, each playing a role. However, in composition writing, things are different. The writer plays the roles of proposers and opposers, as well as that of a motion mover. You have to explain the meaning of the motion. Begin with giving points for, thus, in support of the motion. You can introduce using various connectors. First and foremost, firstly, in the first place, secondly, in addition to, furthermore, then conclude by saying last but not least, or better said, finally. Once you propose, you cross the flow and become an opposer. You mention the motion again and give points against. For instance, you can say, on the other hand, then you begin. The points are well arranged and well executed in terms of explanations beyond any reasonable doubt. Finally, remember to give your personal opinion to sum up your motion. It serves as a kind of verdict to conclude and give the winning side. In my opinion, for example, boarding schools are better than day schools. This should be done depending on the number of points given. The winning side has to have more points. Examples of debate compositions include: day schools are better than boarding schools. Points: the cost of putting up buildings, time available for both learning and sports, parental care and transfer of parents, traveling and control of pupils, learners becoming independent and responsible, exposure to money, the cause of all evils. Example 2. Rural-urban migration should be stopped. Points: chains of food production are broken. Congestion in towns. Crime rate goes up. Unemployment. Growth of slums. Facilities are compromised. Enjoy many recreational facilities. There is skilled manpower. Communication network is available. Get a chance to seek employment. Example number 3. Scientific inventions. 4. Free primary education. 5. The coming of Europeans brought more harm than good. Composition type number 2. Non-formatted narratives. Narratives are open compositions. They are open in the sense that the writer has the freedom to write anything without having to follow a given structure. As long as you understand the question, you pick any storyline that fits the context given. Narratives can be based on happy or sad occasions, though tables can turn either way. The strength of the story matters a lot. Literally, everyone can write a story, but that is not the issue. The main thing is how strong the story is. Then, what constitutes the strength of a story? 1. The creativity of the writer. Are you in a position to create conflict? Have you developed that story in a chronological way? I mean, are events following each other well to create good flow? 2. The theme. What are you writing about? Have you hit the nail on the head? Have you beat about the bush, or worse still, have you deviated and written out of topic? 3. Language. Is it below average or above standard? To be sure of a good score, use an above standard language. Idioms, to be precise. Examiners look out for the following when marking your script. The plot that carries 14 marks. They check whether you understood the question. This is proven by the way you join up your composition. They also look at how relevant your story is in relation to the examiner's question. Mark the keywords to avoid writing out of context. A good script should be at least 2 pages and at most 2 1/4. Do not exceed or underwrite. You develop the plot by introducing descriptions of your characters, scenes, and situations. A little dialogue does not harm. 2. Number 2, fluency. 12 marks. Here, we focus on tenses and spellings. Narratives are written in the past tense. Stick to that. Any tense mistake is a half a mark gone. So, you can imagine if there are 10 such mistakes, you lose 5 solid marks. Spellings are also checked. Instead of exposing yourself to the examiner by writing a spelling wrongly, avoid the word and write a simpler one instead. No one will notice that you don't know. The use of bombastic words whose meanings you're not sure of is also discouraged. Go for what you know and are sure of. Avoid patching vocabulary. This interferes with the flow of the story. It is detrimental. The use of passive voice is highly discouraged. Construct sentences in the active voice, period. No more, no less. No short forms are allowed. Write words in full. Avoid common mistakes when it comes to using phrases. We pointed out these earlier. In 2 shades of a lamb's tail does not exist. We either say in 2 shades or in a couple of shades. My fellow teachers have to help children in this particular area. There are so many misleading books in the market. The use of attire, speak and span, all and sundry, clad in, should be clearly explained to the pupils to avoid confusion. Vary your sentence structures to break the monotony of similar sentences. Use various adjectival and adverbial phrases to begin sentences. Of course, without forgetting the various connectors. Style, 8 marks. The essay should revolve around narration, telling a story, description of persons, places, and scenes, and the actions of the first person. The 3 must be well blended. Do not take time to narrate at the expense of the other 2. Blend them well in order to bring out the story well. Float in what the first person did and describe either the reaction, the scene, or the outcome of his actions. For example, the courtroom was packed to capacity. People from all walks of life had come to listen to the verdict of Okumu's case. He was known by all and sundry as a good man, a man of the people to say the least. I sat in the front rows, not to miss a word. Okumu was the man who had done the unthinkable. No one believed anything. I looked at the victim, a young, innocent girl, thirsty for justice. Her pleading eyes met mine. That brought a tear to my eye. I prayed earnestly. Perhaps she prayed too for justice to prevail. The language used enhances everything and makes your story very interesting. Learn how to use idioms. A little twist in your way of thinking makes the story better. Create hurdles, obstacles in every step. This creates suspense and captures the reader's attention. The marker wants to know what happened next. As he reads on and enjoys the story, so do you score. Do not let us tell it directly from what you say the next course of action. This is anticipation and it is dangerous. Let the reader be on the alert, asking himself, what next? We have other aspects. Handwriting and presentation playing a role to fetch you very important marks. 3 of them. With 37, 38 or 39, you can be sure of a 99 in English. The battle line has just been drawn. Don't miss out on the second part of this DVD that will be juicier and more interesting, containing idioms, their sentences, and twists and turns. Coming very soon. I take this golden opportunity to give all the glory to God who made this work happen. I must also thank the technical team led by Pastor Peter and Brother Naf. I too extend my sincere gratitude to all the teachers of English in the country, among them Hassan Aura, Mr. Misati, Teacher Phoebe, Teacher Joseph, Mr. Biketi and Hissa from Zoya, Teacher Caroline, and to all those who contributed in one way or another to make this work a success. Thank you again, and may the Lord Almighty bless you abundantly.